When Tom Keating joined the Army in 1968, he kept a journal to help him remember his time in Vietnam. This journal, along with letters written to family while in the service, would eventually assist him in the penning of his memoir, Yesterday's Soldier, detailing his experiences from infantry training to becoming a conscientious objector. Yesterday's Soldier is a unique account of the Vietnam conflict. For this reason, the Vietnam Center and Sam Johnson Archive in Texas selected Keating's memoir to include in its archives. The center is one of the nation's largest and most comprehensive collection of information on the Vietnam War. We caught up with Keating, who's also the local VFW Post 2498 chaplain, to discuss what having his work in the permanent collection means to him.
The Vietnam Center and Sam Johnson Archive is the premier Vietnam War documentation collection in the country. So when he asked me if I wanted to donate a couple of books, I was going to hop on a plane with a couple and run down there too. I was very, very floored, did not expect it.
Why did you decide to write your book, Yesterday's Soldier?
I decided to put all of my handwritten journal stuff into a typewriter, and so I could read it more legibly. And doing so, it became clear to me that I had a real story to tell about that time, certainly about myself, but about the whole issue of war, what it meant to be in Vietnam, what it was like to be in the military then 40 years ago. So I started putting that together and I wrote the book.
While Tom is thrilled his book is now included in the archive, he was surprised to happen upon some other familiar documents.
The work I did over in Vietnam was with a logistics operation, and we as the administrative specialists would type up their notes and they put it together in a big review, and then it got printed and sent to the Pentagon, and we never saw it again. Well, it's in the archive in Texas. Yeah, and I opened it up and I'm reading some of this stuff. And I remember typing that. That's how thorough the collection is. Of course, that's just one piece of the whole history that's there. And that's why it's so important. And that's why I'm so honored to have my book, my memoir, in part of that collection.
Do you think you're ever gonna take a trip on down to Texas, go see the center in person?
My goal is to go to the Texas Tech University and to the Vietnam Center and the Sam Johnson Archive, and just ask them if I could look at the book, because it's in the research division. You can't take the book out, you have to read it there. Of course, we're in pandemic mode here, but I'm hopeful that in maybe a year.
For Tom, the addition of Yesterday's Soldier to the collection is timely. The publication of the book was 40 years after his service, and April 30th, 2021 marked the 36th year since the end of the Vietnam War.
That's a sad day for most of us who realized all the waste of lives on both sides and all of the terrible things that happened. But to know that there's a collection of what we did that'll always be available for future generations, that's important to us, especially as Vietnam veterans who, didn't come home to bands and celebrations and stuff. So having the work that I did over there in that collection, not just my book, but the stuff I did 50 years ago, amazing.